Her reality is not the same as yours, but it is hers and it is valid.
If you're caring for a loved one with dementia, you're probably facing the same unanswered questions so many families struggle with. Every day, people ask, how do you help someone live well? What changes actually make a difference? And how do you cope yourself? That's why we've brought together a consultant clinical psychologist, a registered care manager at home instead, and a family member with lived experience to share honest answers, practical strategies, and real advice.
So, can my loved one still live a normal life with dementia?
A quick answer is yes.
Good.
I read one of your care reports which pointed out that their life is as valid as our experience of their life, but it is different. We as carers need to understand it will be a different life. They will need help. They will need support. They may not want help or support, so we have to be fairly skillful about providing it. But absolutely, it can be an incredibly fulfilling life.
There's so much that can be done, isn't there, to support quality of life for a person living with dementia and their families. I think normal life changes, doesn't it, for all of us?
Yeah.
So we're constantly adjusting and adapting, and it's normalizing that as well. So what can I do today, and what do I need help with? What do I like to do? Can I do more of that, with that adjusting and flexibility around it? So it's really important to emphasize that. How do we live well with dementia, attending to our strengths and looking at where we can adjust and make adaptations around the challenges that come with it?
I am Paschalina, and I am a registered care manager for Home Instead. I have been working in dementia care for over 10 years. So I do believe that somebody can live well with dementia, and there are a few things that contribute to that. Number one, I would say good and healthy relationships, a good supportive network, and not only they can live well, they can actually flourish within it. So what it is a difference in a situation that we need to adapt. So if that person cannot adapt, we need to adapt.
Absolutely.
And adapt the environment maybe.
So my name is Michelle. I am a consultant clinical psychologist. I've worked in the field of mental health for over 20 years, and I have a particular interest in mental health in later life, including dementia, and working in memory clinics. And that also includes having a passion for working with family carers. How can I communicate to my friends and family what it's like to be a carer for someone who has dementia?
That's an interesting one. So definitely be open about it. You need to be open because we depend on our support network. There is a lot of stigma that surrounds dementia itself. And that is like that stigma starts and ends with relationships and network and how we actually express that. Have you experienced that? Like, was it difficult for you?
Yes, and I think you have to be very open. I'm Tony. My sister, my older sister, but not that much older, suffers from dementia. Her day-to-day care is managed by Home Instead. We've used them ever since she first needed care, and in fact, my first connection with Home Instead was when my mother-in-law needed care several years earlier. The last thing you want to hear from somebody you're trying to explain it to is, oh, I know exactly what you're going through. Because usually they don't. Usually they have been through something vaguely similar but completely different.
You're both different people, aren't you?
And if they say, I know exactly what you're going through, they probably really have completely missed the point. Openness and vulnerability, I think, is key. I was talking recently to a friend of mine, when I say talking, it was an email. But I was trying to describe the situation I was going through. He said, "How are you coping?" I said, "I'm coping very well." But I said, "There is a park between my sister's house and the railway station, and there is a bench in that park, and on my way back to the railway station, I sit there and I weep." And that really struck home. That actually gave them a much better understanding of what I was going through.
Tony, is that something, because being open and being vulnerable sounds easy. It's very difficult for a lot of people.
Oh, it's impossible for men.
Yeah, and for men, exactly.
Yeah.
It can be even harder.
Yeah.
What helped you with this particular friend in that email to be vulnerable?
Knowing that he had been through difficult experiences with his family, not particularly similar, but knowing that he had been through very difficult circumstances. And he's somebody I've known since we were both 12 or 13. Yeah.
One other thing that, I would mention, and when I'm talking to people living with dementia, when I'm talking to their families, is that coping is not good enough. Why wouldn't we say, what are you doing to live well with it?
To thrive.
What do you live to flourish through it? So this is really the question.
At times I feel overwhelmed by, I have my own family responsibilities. I'm still working. There's an awful lot to do. And I'm very conscious that I don't do all of it very well. But I just bumble along. It's what I do. It's the way we were brought up. How do I emotionally prepare for the moment my loved one doesn't recognise me?
This is often a very common fear when people come into a memory clinic. I think people often associate dementia with my loved one not being able to recognise me. So for some people, this may never happen. It just depends on the person. I think what we would say is people will remember, they may not remember your name, and they may not remember that you are husband, wife, son or daughter eventually, but what people will remember is how they feel with you. So being relaxed with that person, introducing yourself, saying, "Hi mum, it's me, it's Michelle. I'm here to see you today." And then having, focusing a conversation onto something that they would like and listening to the questions they may have about who you are respectfully. But it really is, people will remember how they have felt with you. Is this a safe person? Is this someone I feel comfortable with? So seeing beyond, again, this is very painful. So we want to validate for the relative if this happens, when it happens. But it's also not a foregone, this will happen as well, just to kind of say that too.
Usually when I visit our clients at home and they would call me any names, and really I introduce myself and they say, "Okay, sorry, what was your name?" And the daughter or the son, they might say, "Mom, it's Paschalina." And I say, "It's okay, I reply to any names." So and then they start smiling about it, and some of them say, maybe we should get used to that. And that's okay. It's okay not to remember your name. It's okay not to recognize your face. And what typically happens is, if you bring them a photo album, they would recognize their children when they were young, and then the adult that they have in front of them, they cannot relate because really, they are living like 30 years ago. So how were you looking? What was your face like 30 years ago? Was it like today? Well, mine is the same, I could say. But was it like today? Or was it a bit different, right? So they are trying to relate to the person that they see, but they cannot. So if you open the photo album and you say, "This is me," they say, "Oh, is that you really? Is that you really?" They often say that. So that's how you connect. Also, having a photo of you, like a little board, right? A little board with photos of the people who are related to the person, like the children, maybe the grandchildren, and their names, like this is your first grandchild, this is your second grandchild, and the names and big photos, and then they can go in there and reconnect, because that part of reconnection is quite vital.
I think the other thing to say on this is it may vary. The moment my loved one doesn't recognise me, it's not necessarily a fixed experience either. A person may have a bad day and not recognise you in that day on that moment, but it might not be something that reoccurs. There might be an infection, there might be something else going on that's contributing as well. What I'd also say too is of course we need to prepare and plan for the future, but if we're so living in the future, what if we're missing out on the what is right now? They do recognise you, so go with that right now. So we want to do preparation, but not miss out on them recognising you here today and being in those moments as well.
Provide lots of cues. Always say who you are at every opportunity. When you walk through the door, introduce yourself. You might think it's not necessary, but it provides a cue. Tricia will say, who's that that's just come in? And you'll have to explain that it's somebody she's seen dozens of times before. But recognise that it's your fear, not hers.
And the way to manage fear is to confront it and do it anyway, and then you realise you can get through it.
Peter Berry, quite a famous person in the world of Alzheimer's in the UK, so he also wrote a book. He was doing a lecture in our university, and he was saying, people will often say that, you suffer with dementia. And I'm telling them, I'm not suffering. My wife might be suffering, my children might be suffering. I am not suffering. And that's quite a big thing. We do not understand that most of the emotions that we feel for a person living with dementia come from us.
Yes,
We reflect our emotions on them. And if I feel okay about it, everything is good. And that's how you can keep the relationship and not have the person being isolated from relationships.
You can live well, and you can live in a dignified way. And we all have a moral duty to be able to support people in our societies that need a little bit more help. And it could be us one day who need that help. So the more that we can do to improve things now, the better things will be selfishly for us when, maybe if we're facing the same thing.
Very familiar. How can I manage my own frustration when I've answered the same question 20 times?
Take a deep breath is the first thing to do. This is really tricky. It's so common, isn't it? That repetitive questioning. Yeah. So there's managing your own frustration, taking a breath, we underestimate it. It might need to be that you go out of the room sometimes. It depends what the question is. Is it about the day? Is it the time? Is it the routine? What are we doing now? And maybe having some practical aids to support your loved one that you can direct them to around that particular question.
Why does it sound familiar?
Because I've been there so many times. But the same question being asked 20 times is probably occurring because of anxiety. Yeah. It's a question that keeps coming up again because they're worried or anxious about it. A strategy I've found helpful is to get out a pen and paper. Rather than it just being you providing an answer, I get her to write down what we're talking about. I say, okay, we have discussed this, so let's write it down. So she will write down the question and write down the answer.
And she can recognize her own writing, right?
She can recognize her own writing. She can correct my grammar. Trust me, if I come up with something she's trying to write down, last week I got this. You can't start a sentence with because.
She's right.
But it gives her something to focus on. It breaks that repetitive nature. It diverts, and it gives her something to refer back to herself.
Yeah.
So she can ask the question to herself and answer it to herself.
Yeah.
Won't work with everybody.
Yes, of course. What we find very practical, and what I mean really is very well, like from my experience working, is replying with the same words in the same tone of voice. Like they're saying, what day is it today? Today it's Tuesday. What day is it today? Today it's Tuesday. Exactly the same words. That tends to like stop the repetitiveness.
And be a broken record.
Yes. So then eventually they will stop asking that question.
I think it's also reminding yourself as well, this is the dementia. You know, the person isn't doing this to annoy you or to upset you. You know, seeing beyond the question to the dementia. And again, going back to self-compassion. In that moment, just, I feel frustrated, I'm really struggling. Take that deep breath. Keep coming back to that. It's the dementia. I'm feeling frustrated. This is difficult. Acknowledging that struggle is
Shall
very
we have
powerful.
a cup of tea?
Yeah, have a cup of tea can do wonders.
Go and make a cup of tea. I think that's the last that we're doing.
Yeah.
How do you think that?
How do I feel
How
it
do you
went?
think that went?
Well, quite interesting, wasn't it? Because we all had like different experiences, and we all like talked about what we have experienced, knowledge and experience, and we shared all that.
Yes.
Quite comfortable.
Yeah.
And hopefully we've managed to convey, you know, when you've met one person with dementia or one carer of a person with dementia, that's all you've met. So really thinking of general tips is all very well, and there are lots of general tips, but we do need to then look at that person and the family or relative within their own context to really personalise the care that's provided. So I think we've done a good enough job on
And
that.
we talked a lot. We talked a lot.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing.
And there's always hope. I think that's the thing as well. I hope we've conveyed that it is possible to live a good life as long as the relatives and family around are looking after themselves so that the person can be supported as the condition progresses, that you can live well with dementia. It really is possible.
Absolutely. You can definitely
A
live well.
meaningful and positive life.
Absolutely, yeah.